You know what's the best thing about this video? It will never become outdated. Why? Because for it to become outdated, the Pokemon series would have to take risks and maybe even try. And we all know that Game Freak has stopped trying being original, creative, or competent for that matter. So let's see how the new games could have been improved by points I came up with in 40 minutes. As I'm sure you can already say by my tone, I'm freaking pumped. This is gonna be a long one. Well, not exceptional, the storyline, world, characters, and overall goal of your character is good. No, wait, I mean, it was good 15 years ago. There was a success with Black and White, where the villain had realistic motives, decent rivals, and gym leaders that did something else, so they don't sit on their asses. Black and White 2 had a weaker story, but really solid in my opinion. Gen 6 comes in, and instead of following on the previous game's footsteps, it gets back to the basic formula and falls flat on its face. And let's not even talk about Sun and Moon, okay? There ain't enough hours in a day to explain why it has the worst everything related to world building. How about instead of repeating the same formula constantly, we get a bit imaginative? Let's get started. For one, the region has already been conquered by the criminal organization.
Oh no!
Similar to Team Rocket, a Pokemon mafia if you will. No weird plots about opening new dimensions or souring Pokemon with love. Just bad people that want to make money. You begin your adventure with your mom and dad in a huge town, which of course is the center of all the criminal activity. There, since you are of the lower class, you are part of factions that scavenge food, partake in dogfight-style battles for money and turf wars. After spending about 4 to 5 hours of the game inside this dark and depressing city, you, your parents, and your rival decide it's about time to take the risk and leave the city for good. However, the criminal organization has numerous guards stopping people from exiting the city. With your endeavors, you have managed to make your faction the most influential and powerful one, allowing you to have connections with less than reputable characters. They make a diversion while you make a run for it to escape. Freedom is within your hands, but is crushed by an overwhelming presence and a shadow towering over you. A Pokemon like nothing you've ever seen before glares at all of you and attacks in the blink of an eye. You, your mother, and your friend managed to survive, however your father wasn't so lucky. The creature is rampaging, injuring everyone, and your father, as his last effort to keep you safe, grabs his attention and throws you a peculiar bracelet. Transfixed by the sight before you, you are left paralyzed, only for your mother to grab you and break you out of your stupor. After a long hike, you are then met with the next town, a village of sorts. The townsfolk are nice enough to let you stay for however long you like. At some point, however, your mother grows sick, and you need to reach the next town because your sickness is super special and only the next town has a super special cure. As you are about to leave the road, it is blocked by another Pokemon you haven't encountered before. Much weaker than the one you met in the city, you manage to beat it. The whole theme of the story is that the organization wants to have complete control of everything. They have Mega Evolved Sentinels stopping people from leaving the town, not from entering. At some point, you also have to make a decision. Will you learn the power of Mega Evolution or use the Z Crystals? When using Mega Evolution, naturally, your Pokemon get hurt, lose 5 towards you and need medicine after battle, in order to be able to Mega Evolve again. Z Crystals allow for one powered up attack, once every battle that grows in strength the better your relationship with your Pokemon is. Whichever one you choose, it will drastically change your friends and now rivals' arc. Depending on how you use the Mega Evolution throughout the storyline, he might see you as corrupted, not caring for your companions. If though you pick the Z Crystals, your rival picks the Mega Evolution. And depending on the interactions you have with him throughout the storyline, he will stand by your side or become part of the organization himself. Throughout your adventure, there are some side quests here and there. Some are saving people from being troubled by the organization grants, and in return you get money, items, or even being trusted enough to provide you shelter when the night comes. Once you travel enough, you decide it's time to return to the city and take down the organization yourself. The grants or admins are nothing for you now, but once you finally meet the bad guy himself, you do not stand a chance. He defeats you without much effort and you are left powerless before him. As a last-ditch effort to survive, you try to escape, only for him to send the very same guard swamp you faced at the very beginning of your adventure to chase you down. Your rival finds you outside of the organization headquarters and you manage to escape. You hurry back into the last town you visited and are told that maybe the legendary Pokemon of the only undisturbed forest in the region might be able to help you if you prove your worth. You go into the forest and face your only hope in battle. After you capture it, the Big Daddy makes his appearance once again and strikes you both down, leaving you wounded and to the brink of death. It then lights up the forest in a sense that not even mythical beings can stop him. You are however saved by your companions that force themselves out of their Pokeballs. This is an incomplete storyline I came up with and developed in 30 minutes. Is it great? No, because I came up with it in 30 minutes. Is it better than this?
Yeah, pick a starter. Now go get the first gym badge, fight some Grand School level 9 Pokemon while you're at level 17 by now. Get 2 more badges, fight Grants and an admin this time, get 3 more badges, learn about the legendary Pokemon. Attack the bad guy's base, reveal the bad guy's plan in 2-3 sentences, fight the bad guy, capture the legendary, get 1 more badge, sell in the Pokemon League.
Oh, and I guess throwing a rival in there just for the heck of it. Just throwing it in there, but the last 3 Pokemon titles are underwhelming to look at, to say the least. They aren't polished enough to be great, the characters' animations are stilted, unnatural, and lazy. Worst of all, however, the Pokemon have suffered from it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a 2D version of something will always be more dynamic, express more emotion, and look better overall. Some fat Pokemon benefit from it because they just look derpier. Others, however, suffer a lot. And something no one ever freaking mentions, it limits your imagination. What do I mean by that? Well, when you show me how a Pokemon is supposed to move and act, and you do an abysmal job at it, not even my imagination can save it, because there is no room for it. Older games barely had any animation, which is a problem on its own, don't get me wrong, but at least I could imagine that my Aggron was using its horns for its headbutt, not its freaking arms. How do I fix this? Simple. Pixel animation. One of the most versatile and easy methods. No need to use these ugly 3D models trying to move around, act like they're hitting each other. Use sprites and have them clash, actual animation for when they get hit, use respective body parts when they use an attack. But that is all too much job. For one, it's Nintendo, arguably the biggest video game company that never ceases to seek the market if they so please. 2. Just give Pokemon body types. Machoke, Hitmonchan, Regirock and so on share about the same model. Have them share some animations. Not that freaking hard. If anything, that could put egg groups in good use and not something only serious competitive players care for, which also makes like 5% of the player base. And I can guarantee no kid will search up what egg groups, IVs, EVs and breeding is just to make some stupid ass shiny frog. Do not have as many female characters, or even better, at least try to make them characters. Now, I'm not saying that female characters are a bad thing, do not get me wrong, but the last good, strong, interesting female character Pokemon had was Cynthia, which female characters from Sun and Moon aren't just products and actual human beings. From the top of my head I can think of 2. One is Hapu, and the other one is Luker's boss and the professor's wife, which make one as well, because they are so blunt and uninteresting I couldn't give them a full point on their own. Every other female character, however, disposable. You could take them out and replace them and nothing would change the story. It would only make me feel less insulted playing through the game. That goes for male characters as well, but not at the same extent thankfully. Hell, How is better than the main villain, because the main villain's thing is that she is into bestiality. I mean, she wants to shower every Pokemon in the world with love. We got Katsis, a cunning strategist that manipulated hundreds, maybe thousands of people. Waited patiently for his puppet of a son to capture the legendary dragon in order to use him for his own selfish and evil needs. What did Luzamin do? She opened a portal to a different dimension and got mind controlled by a jellyfish. You could make the argument that she resembles Getsis because she was acting as if she was good the whole time, but it was made very clear that she was evil 4 hours into the game. Scratch that. The intro cinematic. And not all she cares about is loving Pokemon. Hell, at least Getsis attempted to impale you with icicles. He succeeded in capturing a legendary dragon and was almost victorious. Luzamin was never a threat at any point, even when you went to the other dimensions, she just looked stupid and her team was still terrible. It's not even that she was wasted potential like other characters, she was just atrocious on every aspect, except for loving Pokemon. If you look closer, you will realize that Game Freak has changed style when it comes to drawing its monsters. They are rounder, not as many sharp edges. Hell, some benefit from that, but let's be real. It's been 20 years. The old Pokemon games had bad Pokemon too, doesn't cut it. You are supposed to improve, not make the same mistakes, or even worse, make more. Just let your fans draw some, please. Just be careful because some fans get a bit excited when drawing. Now, this is where I get really frustrated. Characters? They can be fixed if they aren't treated like sacks of meat and instead given personality. Storyline? Hell, however stupid you make it, if the characters are good, it will work. Pokemon? We can get used to them, even if they are the worst. However, not changing gameplay at all, or even refining it, is just inexcusable. Let's start with Mega Evolution. Mega Evolution hurts your Pokemon. Actually, to be more specific, they suffer agonizing pain. So naturally, you shouldn't be able to just use it in every battle. You need a certain amount of friendship to use it, and once you do, you lose a small portion of it and need to use an item, maybe a revive, for your Pokemon to recover. Furthermore, attacks are affected by their environment. Use an earthquake inside a cave, both Pokemon suffer rock damage as well. You will now think twice before bringing a Pigeon in a cave. Fighting in the forest, use a fire attack to transform the surroundings into a fiery hellscape, with everyone except for some types suffering a small amount of fire damage each round. Also for the cherry top, give Pokemon the option to dodge. Each Pokemon, regardless of its speed, should be able to dodge. Each one has a limit as to how many times it can each fight. Other than saving itself from damage, every offensive attack used after a dodge is improved. A counter-attack effect, if you will. Let's also not forget about the gym leaders. Some will play an active role at trying to take down the organization. Some work with the organization, and some just don't care. You can get their badges, which give you additional bonuses in a variety of quest lines that do not just involve fighting in a room. Another important thing, predators. Naturally, some Pokemon are just more aggressive than others, and they come out at night to feed. So, when it is night, you will encounter much stronger Pokemon, and if you do not want that, well, that's where helping the people you meet via quests come into play. Let us finally care for our Pokemon. Do not limit us at just using them as weapons of distraction. Sun and Moon kind of did it, but not really because they didn't care enough to polish it. Let us set camp with them. Feed them. Take care of them when they are severely hurt after a battle. Play fetch, give us something to work with. Also, why not have Pokemon evolve more naturally and not just sprout wings instantly when they reach a certain level? It will look far more impressive.
But what about competitive?
Well, you can either just remove all the changes and just have them be the boring old thing again, but personally I would keep more of the changes I mentioned above, but not the ones regarding the environment. Give the players rewards for beating other players at battle as well, like items or Pokemon. Actually, if I had to make a change, I would just add a magnifying glass so that all the competitive players can measure the more easily. Arguably the Pokemon game's biggest strength. The team behind the sound design deliver when it comes to sound effects and making catchy music. Alola's soundtrack wasn't that catchy or good in my opinion, but this isn't something I can be subjective about. You know, however, what I can criticize?
Oh man, this sounds really awesome. I am fighting the strongest trainer in this island, but the music is freaking amazing.
What's this? Where did the awesome theme go? Hello? Anything good here? Dude, this theme is amazing. I want this theme to be played at my funeral. I actually scratched that. Nintendo's gonna shoot me. The only reason I get so angry is because the Pokemon franchise has the biggest potential out of all the games I have ever played. And I have played quite a lot of games. It is not unusual that the best Pokemon games are the fun games. They do not rely on their fame alone and try to do something different, something unique, and at times something amazing.
But what you say will make the game too dark and it's for kids.
I do not suppose there are any franchises that by becoming darker, mature, more serious got much better in every aspect. The main issue with the main series games is that while they revolve around creatures that evolve, the games itself don't.